Advisory Committee meeting, and our meeting is being recorded, Lummi Island Ferry Advisory Committee of July 14th, 2021. First of all, many thanks to Mary Ross for continuing to allow us to use your Zoom facility. So I'm calling the meeting to order. We have 4 present, so let's just have a moment of silence. Thank you. We now have the open session, which is an opportunity for any member of the public to speak on any topic, hopefully relating to the ferry. And please state your name if you wish to speak. No one? Okay. Then we'll move on to approval of the minutes. Mike McKenzie drafted the minutes, which came around this afternoon. I hope members have had a chance to go through them. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 9th, 2021 meeting?
Make a motion to approve them.
Okay, second? I need a second, I think. Jim, can you second?
Oh, I have a little problem with them. All the things I've for quite a while about the inappropriateness of the new ferry, I noticed are not getting in the minutes. And I mean, maybe some people think it's just drivel, but I think it's a very telling thing, and it needs to be known that I'm saying this.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that Mike isn't here to respond directly to that, but I think that, do you have language or text that you would like to put in the minutes?
Not right now. At some point, yes. I have to go back and look at the video.
Well, would you be willing to add your comments to the minutes from our meeting now, or would you prefer to have them in the June minutes?
I think they should be in the June one.
Okay.
And this one also. A little later, I will tell you something I want.
Well, let me propose a modified what we do here, that we approve the minutes subject to Jim submitting additional text for the June meeting. Do I have do 2 people support that, and then we can vote? I will propose that as that we approve the minutes subject to Jim's submitting text, say within the next week. Jim, could you do that so we could get this on the county website? Is that enough time?
I can try, because I'm trying to get out of here to go to Wisconsin here for 2 weeks. Well,
okay, well, let's say that we will approve the minutes as they stand now 1 week from today, unless you submit additional information, which we will put in the minutes.
Okay.
Do I have,
okay.
Is that okay? Okay, so do I have anyone to propose? Can we vote on the minutes now? All in favor of my proposal? Okay, Judy, Jim?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rema?
Yes, I approve waiting for Jim's extra comments and updating Liz Costa's spelling of her name.
Okay, fine. And do you also agree that we should have set a 1 week deadline for submission of changes, and then we approve? That would be 1 week from today. Okay, let's try this.
Correct? We would approve via email?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me try this
Sure.
again. Sorry, it's so I move that we approve the minutes of the June meeting, subject to additional corrections and text to be supplied by members within 1 week from today. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Then we move on to the LIFAC internal business, and at our last meeting in June, we talked about moving from Zoom to returning to a different format that would provide or allow for in-person meeting, presumably at the fire hall on Lummi Island. There were pros and cons that were expressed that are in the minutes, and I don't need to repeat them. And I have learned from Todd Donovan that the county council is still using Zoom meetings, but they plan to transition to a mixed Zoom and open session format in September. There may also be members, including Greg, who's not present, and Mike, who wish to express an opinion on this. So we can also wait until we're all together again at July, and it's easier to talk about this. What do you think? Let's have some discussion here.
Well, I would like to say that I'm for moving to a person. I'm walking around. I went to Bellingham today. I saw about 4 masks in stores. The whole place is opening. I think that's appropriate here. I find with the Zoom meetings, we are not able, especially to bring materials and pictures and handouts and other stuff that we really need to be looking at. And that's my opinion. I would say as soon as possible to resume.
Other discussion, Rayma, Judy?
Yeah, Mike McKenzie did express to me that he is in favor of resuming in-person meetings. He didn't mention any timeframes, but he did share that in case he was not present at the meeting.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
Shoot. Sorry, it's my microphone. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Mike McKenzie did share with me that he has a preference for resuming in-person meetings. So I guess my suggestion would be to wait until we have more folks present, perhaps next month, do one more Zoom meeting, and then get folks' opinion then, since we're so shy on folks, members.
Okay, fine. Rayma, can you hear us, and would you like to comment? Hello, Rayma. Well, while we're waiting for Rayma, I would say, in my view,
Here I am. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We're talking about,
I heard,
go ahead.
I could hear, yeah.
Okay.
I'm fine with either way. I'm happy to do in person. I mean, it would have been, we're talking hybrid though, right? So you would have a choice. And we haven't figured out how to do that, right?
Yeah.
So,
okay.
you know, what I read was that the county is doing a hybrid version, and I am wondering what the option would be to also do hybrid. So if we could do hybrid, let's do next month, you know, otherwise I'm happy to wait till like September.
I'm happy to wait until at least next month and maybe September, so we can learn from how the county council system works and what technically is required, because the Zoom meetings have the advantage of allowing people more easily to attend our meetings. And since they're recorded, more people know about what we're talking about. And so there are pluses and minuses, but I agree that some hybrid should be the way forward. And so I propose that we carry this forward again to a July Zoom meeting, and that we discuss it then, maybe when Rayma is back, and hopefully Greg Rice can join us and Mike can join us, and we can maybe talk more with the county council. If that's agreeable to everyone, all the members, we'll put it on the agenda for the August meeting.
I think
And I
it's
have just-
important to keep the discussion going. Yes, a good
Yeah,
idea. We'll
okay,
try to make a
Okay.
decision next month.
I agree.
put on August meeting. Okay. All right. Jim, is that acceptable with you?
I think it's fine. I don't think it would be really very hard to do a hybrid meeting. I think we need a computer with a screen,
Mhm.
Yeah. adequate speakers on it, which, just plug in. I don't think it'd be a problem at all.
Okay, good. Thank you. So we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay, now we move on to old business. And here we have update on operations from Public Works, and I don't see that Rich is here. Roland, are you able to address these items?
To a limited extent, Rich passes on his disappointment. He'll be unable to attend today. He's still recovering. And so he did ask me a couple of things. One, he would like to have some input from you all as to what you're hearing on the street were as far as level service, card sales, and that sort of thing. If he just hasn't checked in and had that kind of basic question on how are things going in general, and is there any issues that he and Liz should pay attention to? I'd just like to throw that out there.
Okay.
Roland, I didn't catch the beginning of what you said. You were kind of cutting out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have very poor internet, so I'll try to speak succinctly, but Rich is asking for just in general, how are you feeling about the service that's going on with the ferry? Are there any issues that he should address, or anything to look into or bring up? Mainly customer service, punch card sales, scheduling, and the like.
Okay, does anyone have any comments?
I have one. I personally like the schedule much better than the old one. The only thing I'm seeing is we're seeing a lot of backups. And I don't know with what we have, if we can do anything about that. As far as the punch card sales, yeah, I would wish there was a easier way than sending away to the Public Works, because for my sake, I always manage to forget and don't get them until I'm just about out. As far as that, I think that we're going to see real backups this summer. If everything continues as it is. I know there's not much we can do about it, but it's not fun.
Jim, I have a comment. I noticed on the Lummi Island reader board today that it was advertised that there would be on-island punch card sales coming up. Marie probably knows the date exactly. I don't recall, but so that was a great use of the reader board. And I haven't heard any complaints. I think Public Works has done a good job of posting the dates that punch card sales happen on island. And my other comment is, I do believe that I saw the longest ferry line that I've ever seen going off island the day after the 4th weekend. I don't remember if it was the Monday or Tuesday. I think it was the Monday. Yeah, Monday.
I agree. It was,
Longest ever. just a comment.
Here's my
Any
comment. I
Yeah.
hope that was good for revenue. Even
Right.
so we don't have to make other decisions. Yeah, no, there've been some long lines, but I think the crew has been handling it pretty well. So I don't have any negative feedback for Rich.
I have a question about the outage. I think it was yesterday where they had suddenly the power gateway or hydraulic problems in the dock on the Lemmy Island side. Do you have any information about it? I mean, they fixed it finally, but it was quite a long, unexpected outage.
Yeah, my understanding is that it was a hydraulic line that gave way. Our crew dispatched immediately to go out there. By the time they take a look and see what they need, get the parts, get back, get it working again, it took longer than they had wished. But we were able to address it right away. I will say, and I don't know if this has anything to do with that outage, we've had retirements and people leave Whatcom County Public Works here quite a bit. We pay what we pay, and people are kind of quartered away for higher pay. And so we're losing some institutional knowledge, and keeping the terminals running all the time is one of the things that get hit by having people that don't know the ins and outs of every bolt that's there, just because of retirements and people moving. So they're coming up to speed, doing the best they can, and we'll continue to strive to keep that ferry running at all times.
Okay.
So Roland, what does Rich think we need to do?
He didn't say anything about what any action on your part. He just because of his injury, he's just kind of been away from the pulse of riders going back and forth. And he said, "Hey, if you got a minute tonight, could you just ask them how they think things are going? Because I'm not there to ask them. And I just kind of want to check in, because really, you are the advisory committee to the council, but you are the pulse of the community for us in our operations." And Rich just wanted to check in on that.
So can I make a comment? Is this appropriate?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just said no. It's okay, Charles. So the deals yesterday, I was there, and like, I think that John made an executive decision because they were a little bit behind to not go at what we thought was going to be 9:40, and people were like nuts. And then we did leave on the 10, which that worked out okay, but it was sort of disconcerting. And the other thing is, it's just sort of and I do like the new Jim. I do like the new schedule, but I think that, and the other thing is, fortunately for me, I was gone all day yesterday, so I missed the outage. Thanks be to God. So, but I know what that is like for folks that need to go back and forth. So I'm wondering, and the other thing I'm wondering is, we have, I thought we were going to have a what I call it ferry fix day every other month, but it seems like we're having them all the time. And I understand, I'm an old maintenance person, so I get the fact that stuff's got to be fixed, but can we coordinate some of that? And I don't really know, that goes back to the county. And the other thing is, why is John Hutchings not on here? Sorry,
John Hutchins, I didn't hear that. What was the last point, Mary Jane?
why is John Hutchings not involved in this meeting?
He doesn't.
Isn't he over the ferry?
Well, he's the director of public works, but
Right.
but
And he runs-
normally it's Roland and Rich Hudson who come to these meetings.
Okay, well, Rich isn't here, and I love Richie, but the other thing is John is living over here on the island all the time, and he is going back and forth every day, just like the rest of us. So I think it might be interesting to have him here on occasion. Sorry,
Okay.
I'll shut up now.
No, that's right. Thank you for your suggestion. And I assume that Roland is taking note of that. Roland, can you speak to the other items under operations, the Sandycam, the local weather station, and especially the dry dock planning?
The bids came in for the dry dock, and I don't have those handy. I'm unable to answer the other questions with that. What I'll do though is get the information from Rich and Liz and from Randy with regard to the dry dock planning, get an email out to you all and answer those. Rich originally had hoped to attend, but he's just unable to.
Yeah.
He's not feeling up
Okay.
for it right now.
Okay, so that, I think that would be fine to send it out, because we just need to know so we can tell people and have it in the minutes what the planning is well in advance.
I'll try to
Okay,
get
well,
tomorrow.
okay, fine.
There was one other thing that Rich asked me to bring up. Some time ago, the fuel numbers for the new boat were put out. And Rich had looked at those and they just weren't right. And so Rich and Liz went back to Elliott Bay and asked them to look into it. They found that they erroneously doubled the numbers. So
yes,
they did it for a whole trip instead of, and they thought they did it for a half trip, so they doubled it. So actually they did it for a whole trip and they doubled it. So it was twice the usage. So the chief uses approximately on average 180 gallons per day. The new vessel is expected to use about 186 gallons per day. And that would be an actual increase in the number of cars that are taken back and forth because of the size of the boat. If you want more details on that, I can get Liz and Rich to be here next time and they can explain it much better than I. But wanted to make sure to let you know right away that don't use those previous numbers. They're twice as bad as they actually are.
I'd like to request that you ask Rich and Liz to come and talk about this. This is really at the heart of the operational matters for the new ferry. And
Yeah.
could we see the Elliott Bay Design Group, documents on this? Like Public Works shared the design last year, but this presumably is a table with some explanatory text that would, so we could see the apples as being compared to apples and so forth.
Right, will do.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is Rama. I'm interrupting here, but I've had an absolutely horrible day. This is the best news I've had all day. Thank you, Roland.
Mhm.
Well,
Okay.
we'll wait till next month and thank Rich. He was the one that really hounded this down. So,
Yeah, I agree with Rama. This was kind of a downer at last month's, and it's certainly better now. So that's good. Worth the price of attendance here today at our meeting. Okay, let's go on to the update on the replacement ferry, and I think this is over to you, Roland, and to Marie, and also Judy speaking on behalf of herself and Mike. So go ahead, start with the update on the funding, please.
the raised grant was submitted last week, and that has moving forward. I passed on to you a draft letter for Secretary of Transportation Buttigieg that we'll have at the August 7th information booth for anybody and everybody to sign. I don't know if any of you had a chance to look at that, if you have any suggested changes to that letter. But that's something that we hope to have. And essentially what it is a letter asking Secretary Buttigieg to approve the raise grant on behalf of the community who needs the ferry in operation for emergency services and the like. So it's one thing for Whatcom County government to submit a grant proposal, and we have all the information in there, the level of service, the ridership, all the financial plan, the design, and everything else. It's something entirely different that letters are coming in from the community on something that is important as this. So the Secretary of Transportation will be looking at hundreds of proposals for bridges, highways, viaducts, all kinds of things for infrastructure through the RAISE grant program. We would really like to show that this project is more than just a concrete infrastructure, which is important, but this is such an integral part of the community that he, in all good consciousness, has no choice but to sign the approval. So that's what we're trying to do, move that forward. In September, I would ask that LIFAC sends a letter to the secretary and also makes some phone calls to Congressman Larson, Congresswoman Del Bene, our two senators, Murray and Cantwell, and ask them to contact Secretary Buttigieg to approve Whatcom County's request for a raise grant. So the timing is coming up. We'll talk about it at next meeting as well, but those letters should go out in September.
Okay, actually, we have the community letter down under D here, but since you brought it up, let me just pause here and say, can you say something about the crab situation? Remind us what the submission deadline and process we're in for that.
So at the spring meeting, we approached the County Road Administration Board we asked them to ask for projects. The board, the County Road Administration Board, will be meeting on July 29th, and the staff will present to the board Whatcom County's request for them to ask for projects. All the feedback we've gotten is positive, and it's not a done deal, of course, until it's gavelled in, but the staff is unanimous in their request. The funds are available and the funds are there for this specific type of project. So then when the board approves it on the 30th, of July, that would give us until CRAB application that would then go to the legislature. And we will be working on that this fall.
So it goes to the legislature, and then this fall you will need LIFAC help in writing to members of the legislature, maybe going to Olympia, things like that?
Yes, so it'd be during the session after January, during that session. They would be then considering that request for funding. And
that's January 2022. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
But essentially, we're right on schedule as we have laid out for those 4 years. Everything is a go, and we on Tuesday, which is already only yesterday, seems like a week ago, met with KPFF and discussed that grant proposal, and we're already pulling some stuff together. Putting together such a comprehensive RAISE grant proposal helps. And essentially what we will do is utilize that same information, same format to give to the legislature. And if you have not had a chance to see that application, it is amazing. The bill grant from last year is on the website, and now that we've pulled everything together, Marie and I will get the other one on the website, the current raise grant proposal as well on the website. Marie,
When do you think we can look for that?
So Liz actually had me put that on the website, oh gosh, I think yesterday. And
Okay.
it does say draft on it. So it is considered a draft of what's on the website, but there is a subpage of the website that's raised grant. And I also updated information on the new ferry vessel page as well. And I can probably find a way to put those links in the chat if that would be helpful.
Yes, could you do that? And then we'll put them in the minutes. Okay, all right. Well, thank you. Any comments or questions from members before we move on to?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Go ahead, Jim.
As you know, that I am not very happy with the current design. The number of problems with it, the inefficient hull. I think that my calculations of a all diesel boat of that size came in at about 256 gallons a day. I know traditionally for years, I think 180 is high in the Whatcom Chief. It was about 145. And the best I could do, doing my figuring in reverse, was that was somewhere around 225 gallons per day. Now, the thing is, the question I'm having here, I remember I went to the, Fred Kinney and I went to the meetings with the council where the new ferry, what we call the egg beater ferry, the Voigt Schneider design was rejected in 2008. And one of the questions one of the county council asked was, is it possible we can modify this design before it gets built to, there was some, they were predicting 400 gallons a day on that thing. And that we could go to more conventional drive and some other things and make the hull better and that. And there was a categorical no. We're stuck with whatever we put in. Now, I don't remember who said that, but it was one of the county people. And
One of the who?
It was one of the, I think, public works people, as I remember. Elliott Bay didn't, the only person that they sent to the group was a dock specialist. And the question I'm having here, do we have an ability, once the grant is given, to do some, making the design more efficient? I think that the pandemic has totally changed our 30 years growth potential and all that. It's out the window. There's so many places being built out here. People are trying to move here. I'm getting calls all the time about pieces of property, and we don't even have anything for sale. And it's, and talking to my friends and everything, and they're telling me, the price in Jerry Anderson's house was listed for one day and went for $1,000 over the listing. Now the Village Point Marina is being listed at 2.9 million. Prices are going through the roof, everything else. And then of course, now the county's allowing 1 and 2 auxiliary dwelling units on appropriate sized property. I think that we're going to see a much larger influx of people Lummi Island than we thought we would before the pandemic. And I kind of want to know can we modify this design to, perhaps be expandable in the future, or, temporarily leave the electrical things out of it, and even if we put the money in a fund for it or whatever else to try to keep the fuel use down and some other things. No matter what we do, all the fuel for that ferry is going to be generated by diesel oil, and without an external source, it's going to use more fuel with the electrical propulsion pieces in it than it would if it didn't have them. And so that's my question. Will we be able to possibly be able to modify the design once the grant is given?
Well, thank you, Jim. We'll make sure this gets in. Oh, I see Todd has joined. Hello, Todd. Welcome.
Sorry, I'm late.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wonder if Todd have anything to say about it.
Oh, I defer to Roland on that.
Well, you know, I'm not the vessel person to go the details with regard to the efficiency of the boat, the design. I know that we're utilizing Elliott Bay and their expertise in doing that. We are building the boat that the community had moved forward with regard to the level of service that you all wanted. Adding to that, the concern with regard to the future of going all electric, and adding that to the design and making sure that the boat has the ability to go all electric in the future. With regard to the fuel calculations, I leave that up to the experts, and I don't know that I am certainly not the person to debate or even have a conversation, a knowledgeable conversation with you, Jim. That's something that Liz and Rich and those that are in that's their bailiwick, as it were. And really, I'm just moving forward with funding as we all discussed to the council, and getting a 34 car boat built. I understand your arguments with regard to population. I was the land use manager for Whatcom County for a couple of decades, so I appreciate those concerns. I would counter that there are other pressures that would keep Lummi Island from building as well. Water is a big part of that, and the expense of drilling wells on Lummi Island. And part of it is just, as you said yourself, there's not much available either. So as we went through the level of service and discussed this, it was kind of washed out, and the growth rate at that percentage rate would have some hills and valleys in it, but we expected to see what we've seen throughout the 20 or 30 year projection that some of the best people in the country worked on for that ridership model, and we stand behind it. That's the best information we have to give to the decision makers, which is the county council. Through you all, proposed the level of service. The county council agreed, voted in, and at some point we need to build the boat that we've all talked about. And that's where we are.
Okay.
Okay, Jim, I think that we're a bit late into our meeting, so we need to move on. But I think that if we can be sure that Rich and also hope that Elizabeth Kosa could come to our next meeting and maybe continue this discussion. So if it's okay with you, we will move on and talk about the items that we have. The draft community letter to Secretary Buttigieg, the flyer, and let's start rolling with your Public Works booth at the August 7th Saturday market and the poster advertising it. And why don't we begin there? Go ahead.
So thanks to Rama, we have a space at the August 7th farmers market there on Lummi Island. So Whatcom County Public Works will be there. We're hoping that LIFAC will be there through the whole time as well. We're going to be there for the regular hours, which I believe are 10 to 1. And if you all could kind of come at different times or the whole time or what have you, we want to be able to let the community see the work that's been done with regard to the design and the funding proposals, and also just take in any questions that we have that we can put forward. And there is on the screen, I see someone has put there, there's the some of the information that we'll have available, which would be the timeline and the other information. So I see Councilmember Donovan is there on screen here in attendance tonight. I hope that he would be able to attend. I would ask that LIFAC consider inviting at least Councilmember Allenboss. I believe he is your district representative, but perhaps even an invite from LIFAC to the whole council would be appropriate. I was going to send that out myself, and the county executive thought it would be more appropriate for LIFAC to invite the council. And so he asked me to ask you if you could do that. And it's August 7th at the market. We'll be there the whole time and answering questions that people might have about the boat or just seeing it. And we can take in information. I will ask also, I'm going to put together some little slips of paper that has the Secretary Buttigieg's contact information, his phone number, his address, his email address, and people can take those with them and shower him with emails with regard to getting the funding done. I think that's our best way of making sure we have some success with that. So that is it in a nutshell. Marie, would you like to add anything to that?
I would just add, we did work in collaboration with Raymond and with Mike McKenzie on the flyer. They had some great input on that. This is the Get to Know the Next Ferry kind of promotional flyer for Public Works to be at the Lummi Island Saturday Market.
Excuse me, Marie, can I just interrupt? There are two documents here. There is the announcement and the informational flyer. And we're looking at which one? The informational flyer?
Right now you're looking at the announcement for
the announcement.
Yes.
And tell us how this is a physical piece of paper, or tell us about the distribution, and then maybe we can understand the audience and then give any advice on, tweaks to it if needed.
Sure. So I have this as a digital format, obviously, and I can send it out to our email list. We have everyone that's kind of signed up through the Public Works website to receive notifications, from Whatcom County Public Works on items related to the ferry. And Mr. Donovan, the market is going to be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, August 7th. I saw your chat question there. So we'll put that in an email. I'll put it on Nextdoor. We also will make copies that we'll put out at the ferry terminals and on the boat itself. And we were hoping to maybe put it out at the over at the Islander store. And I also have a contact with Lummi Island Meals on Wheels, so I can provide some copies for that. Any other suggestions that any of you may have would also be welcome.
Well, the Islander people, I don't think, are accustomed to picking up flyers at the terminal. I mean, they're in their cars, so I would say that's fine, but you probably reach more people by having it at the Islander and at the library, and maybe possibly the post office, if that, I think that they would agree to that.
I agree with that, Charles. But then, that's normal people that live here. So are you advertising this in the Tome? Unfortunately, there is no Tome in August. So
we're going to get to the Tome at the end of the meeting. We have an article.
Oh, sorry, Charles.
And this will be an item to put in it for sure.
Well, you better hurry, because I think
we're on it.
It's Friday, right?
Yeah, we know. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
We need to, sorry, we need
My
to
bad.
keep
I'm
moving
just
here.
a tone-
Okay,
a
so
tone
we've got
troll.
the distribution is clear. Does any of the members have any comments on the visuals or on the text or on additional distribution? Rayma, are you still there and able to hear
I-
us? And
I am. I'm following this, and I'm just thinking, somebody here knows how to put it in the Paul Davis's mailbox with a note to please put this on the bulletin board there by the restrooms at the ferry dock. Usually I do that. I'm not on island, but
Mhm.
maybe Judy, you can get a copy. Somebody can do that. Thanks.
So are you saying go through Paul Davis to post it at
He's the
ferry
one.
terminal?
He is the one who posts it in that reader board at the terminal usually, and Rich must know that.
Oh, I see. Okay, so the reader board is what we're aiming at.
At the terminal behind the glass by the restrooms.
Right.
I think that's key. And Judy, you know how that works, right?
Yep.
Okay, so
Okay,
you can,
so Judy is the,
can you make sure Paul gets one with a note to please put that in his glass case?
Yes. And if
Right.
this is finalized and I can have access to it, I can put this in his mailbox at the same time I put the Tome notice, which is tomorrow, which is Friday.
okay. And Marie, will you be contacting the post office, library, and Islander with supplies of these?
I will find a way to get it out there. Typically, I've just given these things to Rich, and
Okay.
he's taking care of that. But right now, I don't know if Rich is really capable. So you said the
Okay.
library, and what were the other locations?
The Islander store by the checkout counter, the library, the Island Library, and the U.S. Post Office.
So Marie, we'll figure it out. Just give it to us and we'll put it where it needs to go.
Right. Okay, Marie.
Judy knows too, so we're good.
Yeah, Marie,
Okay, we'll figure this out. So I need to keep us meeting because we'll run really off if we don't. Can we have any comments on the text or the layout from members?
it's fine to me.
I had a question about, well, is it possible to make any changes or is this already pretty set?
I guess it kind of depends on the difficulty of the change.
Oh, I was just thinking, it's not clear that this is announcing a specific date, and I'm afraid that people might get lost in the details. So maybe you can put in this box we're seeing on this page, maybe you can put when at the top in bigger letters. I mean, reverse the what and the when without much trouble. And and so it reads, get to know the next ferry, and then when, and then the date and time. So
I can make the
maybe
date more prominent.
yeah, make it more larger so that people looking at it understand that it's an event and not just a picture. And can we see the flip side? Whoever, is it Mary? Are you controlling the?
So that one is only one-sided. The other one is two-sided.
Oh, okay. So this is all right. So this is the announcement. Okay. Well, all the more important that people understand that it's not just looking at the getting to know means doing something, coming to August. And in fact, I would even put it up in the title, get to know the next. I know you need to have a lot of space, limited space, but come to our meeting on August 7th. If that could be fit in there, or meeting on August 7th, get to know the next ferry.
I was thinking maybe come visit with us, something kind of friendly and informal since it will be at the Saturday market.
Yeah, can you flip back to the announcement?
So you're gonna beat me up, but why are we only doing this 1 week?
I think we were going to judge how interested the Islanders were in the attendance. Roland, did you have anything to add about that?
Yeah, LIFAC decided that we weren't going to hold a public meeting because there wasn't a lot to bring forward, and Public Works would still like to have this information go out a little bit beyond what's done in the website or at the LIFAC meetings. So in discussing with a few of you on the island, the suggestion was, why don't you come out to the Saturday market? And we looked at all of our schedules because these Saturdays I already have booked for my own stuff, and this was the date that we had all available, Liz, Marie, Rich, and I, to come out, and we're hoping that get enough people out there. Doesn't mean it has to be the one and only time that we'll be coming out. It sounds like we'll be coming out at the LIFAC meetings, hopefully in September, October, and we'll have this information with us at all times as well. We'll have a stack of these informational flyers at that time.
Okay, well, your LIFAC meeting in September is during dry dock, so I think I haven't looked at the schedule exactly, but so that's not going to be too cool. But it doesn't have to be you guys. It just, I mean, people need to understand, just like normal people like me need to get it. And Judy, you know how normal I am, so or not normal.
I think.
But
Okay. Well, can we say that we will ask that LIFAC members will consult with Public Works on additional meetings?
Mhm.
I
And
mean, it
maybe we
didn't need
can,
to be you guys. It could just be the LIFAC of people on island, right? I'm sorry.
well,
Israeli
it's, we've discussed this in previous meetings, and the
Oh, my
ferry
bad.
ultimately
Sorry.
belongs, the ferry ultimately is the property of the county, and they're the ones responsible for building it. We're advisory committee to the county council, and we work with Public Works. So this was to be a presentation from the boat owners to the public with cooperation of LIFAC, which over the last several years has held meetings, as you know, and developed the sequence of events that Roland just summarized. So I would say, Roland, we could consider an additional public meeting based on the farmers market, get out and, or unless other LIFAC members have other ideas. Oh, hell, where did the Zoom? Sorry, did I cut out?
Oh, go
Did
ahead,
you hear
Roland.
me?
I heard.
No,
No.
my question is, do other LIFAC members have comments on additional public meetings?
I just think that we should do the August 7th one and take it from there. See what the response is,
Okay.
and so on and so forth. And there's no reason the market goes on. I think until Labor Day, if not a few weekends after, we can try to plan a second attendance there.
Right.
Or not.
Okay, Roland?
One thing, once the funding is starting to come into place, especially if we are awarded the RAISE grant, at that time, I think we should have an open house type of meeting, and we can go through this, get to know your boat all over again, but really to announce to everyone out there the status of the funding. And I'm hoping by the end of the year, we're going to have some really good news. And that's what we're pushing for. So perhaps in the winter time, sometime, January, February, after we get through the snows and the holidays, could do another open house at some other venue, whether it's just at the school or at some other event. The suggestion to do it at the market is kind of like go to where the people are, and that's where people are gathering, at least 40 or 50 people, or if not more, And that seems to be at least an opportunity to start getting the word out a little bit better.
Okay, fine. Can we, Jim, Rama, do you have any other comments on the posture or on additional meetings? If not, let's talk about the, hello, Rama?
No, I'm
Ram?
fine. No, I'm
Okay.
fine. Thank you.
Okay, I think then the sense of the meeting is we'll go ahead with the August and outlets meeting and try to support the public works in doing this. Now we're going to look at the informational, the actual flyer that tells us about the ferry system. So Marie, go ahead.
So this is a flyer that's designed, as you said, to let people know about the new boat so that they can have some information maybe before they come to visit us at the Saturday market, and also in case they are unable to attend at the Saturday market. And it also has the last bullet in the yellow box, more information, and it's got a link to the webpage with quite a bit of additional information about the new boat if people wanted to learn more. I tried to hit the highlights of, you know, what people might be interested in. I did see a comment in the comment box about the number of cars, and I don't know if that made it in there. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, we can take a look at that.
Okay, and the idea is this again will be on the county website and it will be a physical handout. You said people might view it before they come to the August meeting. How will they get it?
So I'll use the same distribution points as we've previously discussed. And also, you know, of course, if any LIFAC members will be willing to take additional copies or have any suggestions for other locations, we can certainly put them in as many places as you think would be useful. I also want to be mindful of not causing litter on the island as well in places where it may, you know, people may not be interested. I can also make it large, you know, I can make it more poster size. This is more of an 8.5 by 11 sheet, but I can do something more, you know, 18 by 24 or something like that. So we can put something up in a larger space where people may congregate around it. And it is, front and back, but that's no problem to just print both sides, you know, 18 by 24 or something like that.
Okay, I have, so this will be handed out at the same time as the announcement for the August 7th meeting, a booth?
This will be handed out at the informational booth, yes.
Not before.
It was also going to be handed out before because I don't want to assume that everyone can make it to the Saturday market. So if they can make it to the Saturday market, that's great. We'd love to talk to them. But if they can't make it, this is kind of designed to give them a bunch of quick facts about the vessel and also a kind of an entry point to learn more through the website.
Then if you're going to be handing this out in the same locations in the same time as the announcement, I think either people might get confused as to which is which and so forth. So you might either work into this if possible, you know, the August 7th meeting or combine it into one document. I'm afraid there will be, you know, one two-sided and one one-sided unless you make it clear that one is to read and the other is to come to the market. People might get confused. Other comments? Judy, your hand was up.
Yeah, I would suggest waiting to unveil this flyer until the August 7th meeting so that it isn't floating around out there without the public outreach at the market. I don't really see any reason to push it very much further ahead of that August 7th event. I think that would be helpful. Marie, I have another question for you. I assume that you have photoshopped. If you can scroll up to the image of the ferry on the front of the flyer where it says Lummi Island Ferry, I assume you photoshopped that. Would it be possible to change that to maybe name, question, or something along those lines, to imply that its name is not Lummi Island Ferry at this point. It's at this
Hmm.
I think that's an excellent suggestion, and maybe you could put in name question mark or help us name this new ferry. That's quite a lot of words though.
Whatever you think might work. If you
But
think
I
that-
agree, don't put Lummi Island Ferry or, you know, we'll have to deal with, it will confuse people.
Oh, okay, so you're referring to the boat that's not the white text, the headline, but the boat on the text on the
Right.
side of the boat itself.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
people may think that somebody has already decided it's going to be called the Lummi Island Ferry, and then that will be a distraction we don't want.
Sure, I
So
think that
I would either wipe it out or put in name this boat or name question mark. I think Judy has spotted it and I totally agree with her.
I think that actually came from KPFF that way, but I'm pretty sure that I can white it out with
or maybe they
Photoshop.
can.
Okay.
And then since I can't control the scrolling on it, you do have what is the contact information on the flyer? Let's see what you got there. You got the timeline. What do you have posted on that flyer for? I think that there should be a link to contact LIFAC committee members and the county public works.
Yeah, I pretty much have the website as for additional information at this point on the flyer.
Okay.
So should I use that Google Groups email address to contact you all?
Yeah. I have a comment on the timeline. If you can look down at the bottom of it on page 2. Yeah, the February 2020 LIFAC, what we actually confirmed is a desire to have a full electric capability no later than 2035. This sounds like we're going to sit on it for the next 15 years, and that's not our intent. So if you can say change all electric to full electric, no later than 2035, or that would be a better sense of our resolution from that meeting.
Okay.
Jim, do you have any comments on the flyer?
Yes, I think it should be put out as soon as possible. That gives people time to review it and to make their decisions up. And, you know, the other thing I think that, and I feel I've been a little bit of a victim of this, is that we do not suppress alternate opinions. That a lot of people have good stuff to say, and a lot of things should be. I'm all for a new ferry. Believe me, I've wanted one since probably the 90s. And the thing is that sometimes, especially designers, and I've seen this because in the business I worked in, often get hooked on something and they're going to build it no matter what, or whatever else. We need to have some flexibility in this and listen to everybody that comes along. I think we can put away the size. We know it's going to be at least 34 cars, but the format could, you know, maybe somebody's got an idea out there that might work better than another one. And the other thing I was asked several months ago by one of the county council members to write my critique of this, and I will do that. It will probably come out sometime after this meeting. I'm so busy and so much is going on, but just to run down what I thought were the deficiencies of the ferry. Then I want that Whatcom County and Lummi Island have the best bloody ferry we can possibly get, and that costs us the least and has the least amount of problems in the future. And I don't see that with this one. And that's my opinion here. And there's other ways to do things. So I think we need to be looking at that.
Okay, Rema, finally, any further comments on the informational, the 2-pager here? Rema?
Sorry. No, I don't have any comments. Thanks.
Okay, fine. Then Marie and Roland, do you have any other, aside from these tweaks. Jim had suggested that the flyer be available before August 7th. And Jim, what can you be more specific? We don't want to confuse people, I think, with too many pieces of paper. On the other hand, what specifically did you have in mind for distribution before then?
Well, I think it should go out on the usual channels, let's say a week ahead of time. We've got Next Door, we've got the Tome, we've got Lummi Island Friends, etc. It should be in all of them. And let people look at it, let people comment, and because otherwise, I remember going to that 2008 county council meeting, and when one of the county council persons heard that we couldn't modify the ferry, they voted no. And it would be interesting for LIFAC to see that. That it was, there were two things that really killed it. One was the grant being over 15 years. One county council member wanted it all at once, didn't like that, and the other one was the inability to modify the design.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jim. I think that we've had an array of opinions. Marie and Roland, do you have any final comments before we? I want to circle back to the community letter and get to the name of the new ferry. But before we leave the flyer and the meeting, do you have any further comments?
The only thing I wanted to add is that I did put in the chat box the links to the web pages that were updated with the new vessel information that we had discussed earlier in the meeting.
Okay.
And the other thing I'd like to remind everyone, if LIFAC could invite the other council members, and we're hoping that we'll see you all that can attend there at the August 7th meeting, information booth.
Okay, how do you propose we do that? What's the sort of protocol? Do we just collectively, or can Rema on our behalf, or should, or maybe Rema, do you want to jump in here? How do we issue an invitation like that?
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to, my flight is leaving. I have to leave the meeting. I'm sorry. You'll have to just text me the question and I'm out of here.
All right.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
We're almost done. I'm going to declare that you're here and present in spirit so that we can finish the meeting with you as a virtual quorum. So
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
You just can't
Travel
vote
safe.
on anything. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Yeah. Okay, Roland, what's the protocol, or maybe Todd, if Todd is still here?
An email to the council members, I think would suffice, but I'll let that go for council member Dom.
Yeah, send it to Dana Davis Brown, the clerk of the council. If for some chance orifice are there, it's a quorum and they'd have to publicly notice it as a meeting, but she can send the invites out to all of us. Okay, all right. So we send an email to Dana Davis Brown. Okay, fine. Finally, are we going to, do any of the members have any comments on the draft letter to Secretary Buttigieg? And
I haven't seen that, Roland. Did I miss that? Oh, is it in?
Well, here it is. Mary Ross has cleverly thrown it up on the screen. So here it is. Any comments?
I would change in the first sentence, I would change the word goods to commerce, personally.
Sorry, where is that? In the first paragraph?
Bottom of the first line.
The last sentence, functions as a
Oh.
lifeline for the delivery of passengers, vehicles, goods, and emergency services.
Yeah, so you change goods to commerce?
Yeah, just because commerce implicates
Right,
the economic infrastructure of everything.
right. Okay. Marie, you got that. Any other comments?
I think the second paragraph is perfect.
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't know whether you agree, but in the last sentence in the third paragraph, to change all electric to full electric, to me, full electric is a little more meaningful.
I'm a little reticent on that because we don't know. We may get something comes on in the meantime that changes that.
Mhm. But that's the gist of what our resolutions and recommendations have been.
I
In
don't
the
see any
county
problem
resolution.
at all. I don't think
Okay.
all full makes any difference.
Okay. Well, I'd suggest changing it to full, but I'll leave it up to Marie and Roland. Any other comments on the letter?
I just have
Okay,
one.
fine.
Oh, no, I have
Thank-
one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wonder about adding one concise sentence that has to do with the fact that capital funds have not been collected since the inception of the ferry in 1962. Something
I'm
to
not
that.
sure that's something we want to say to the Secretary of Transportation.
Yeah,
Could you
Okay,
I-
I'm just throwing that out there, whatever you think.
Yeah,
could you repeat that, Judy? I caught most of it.
I just think that some minor mention of the fact that capital funds have not been allocated to replace this ferry. It's a big financial ask. And we all know that in the future, we won't have to go there with this sort of financial ask because we will be setting our own funds aside and planning for this. But that it's a big ask, and it might be something that comes to mind. Why are you in trouble now? What happened? So
I
that's
think that's very, Judy, I think that's extremely appropriate, actually. In my,
I would say that the application goes into that in detail, and it also describes the surcharge. This letter was
Fine, then.
specifically targeted at his heartstrings.
Yep.
So all the details of that and everything are already there. I really, quite frankly, if I could just put a post-it note and just said, Secretary Pete, we need your help, and have every kid on Lummi Island sign it in their kids scratching, honestly, I'm not above getting down and trying to hit him with the heartstrings here, and that's really kind of the tone of the letter that we are trying to get at for people to sign. And the idea would have this, and I'm not arguing against your suggestion. I just wanted to kind of fill in more. We'll have this there, and when people have signed on bottom of this page, we'll go on to another page, and hopefully we'll have 2 or 3 pages full of signatures, and so that we can send this off to Secretary Buttigieg, and just highlight that this is a community ask, not just some public works department looking for money to build something.
okay, any other comments? Any of the other participants in the meeting like to comment, since we're all in the same community? Mary Jane, are you still there? Would you like to comment? Dave Kirshner? Okay.
Looks like a good letter to me.
Okay, fine. Then I
So
think
what
that
I was
we,
gonna, I'm so sorry. What I was
yeah,
gonna say,
go ahead.
I am a native Hoosier. So, maybe a little bit of my Hoosierness will help with the secretary.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, Marie, and thank you, Roland, for all of this drafting, and I hope these comments are useful. We need to talk briefly about naming the new ferry, and I'll ask Judy to talk about that on behalf of her and Mike.
You know, I think that with regard to naming the ferry, I think that with this somewhat recent plan to attend the Saturday market and talk to folks and hand out the flyer, I think that's the perfect opportunity to start soliciting a
Oh,
name
not now.
and keep it pretty informal. And maybe have a box there with some tear off pieces of paper and just invite people to make a suggestion for naming the boat. And then I think that some of the next step will be assembling what Mike and I have talked about as in the form of a panel. That would be a group of folks representing LIFAC, maybe the ferry, Public Works, maybe the county council, where we wean down the most appropriate suggestions and then just hand those suggestions over to, I think, Public Works to have a look at them and then get those handed over to county council. And that's it.
Okay, do you have any, the idea is that people would put their name on the slip as well as the name of the boat, because Mike talked about mobilizing some prizes of nominal value. Do you have any views on that?
I did talk to him today. He did not mention that at all. I don't think the idea of prizes is a good idea.
Okay.
If we're gonna do prizes, then it's just another whole can of worms, and I don't think it's a good
Okay.
idea at all.
Okay, because when I talked to him yesterday, he was talking prizes. Okay.
Yep.
But I agree with you. It's
And I don't think it matters if it's somebody that lives on the island, doesn't live on the island, whatever.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get some goofy things like Sir Cross-a-Lot and other things like that, and they'll get weaned out. And I'm envisioning that we'll have a handful of actually appropriate names that we will submit to. I'm thinking Public Works first, and then on to the county council.
okay. And will there be additional opportunities as you see it to submit names for people who don't physically come? And if so, how does that work?
Right. That's another thing that I'd kind of like to talk to you, Marie, at some point about that. I think we can take a suggestion box and we can move that to the Islander after the Saturday market, and keep it there. And then maybe, Marie, if you and I could work together for just a few minutes to figure out other access points like websites and so forth.
Yeah,
Okay.
I kind of talked with Rima and Mike about this briefly, but we didn't really go into a lot of detail. But yeah, we kind of briefly discussed the idea of having an online form on the website. I was also thinking, I don't know if any of you have used QR codes at all since the pandemic began, but they have become very popular with people with smartphones. So we can make a QR code, and then you can take your smartphone and turn the camera on and just point your camera at that QR code, and it could potentially take you to fill out the form on the website.
Wow.
Is that, you know,
Yeah,
people.
I like the QR code idea. That's, I certainly think that would appeal to many people and boost participation. Any other comments, Jim?
Yeah, I have one. I think we should wait till after we get the money. Because if this whole big campaign goes through, everybody comes up with a great name and we don't get the money and it's not going to get billed, it's going to be a terrible letdown.
Well, Jim,
I
we
think
could
that would be, I think it, you know, we will have at least 3 years after the project is set forward before it, you know, even appears here. So I think we've got plenty of time to name it. And I have.
Jim, what I would say to that is that I don't see any reason to not solicit names. And I think that the point has been brought up that it's a way of engaging the community, and you know, maybe we don't decide a name. I think that it was Roland that said that once the Coast Guard, what was it, Roland, that you told me in your email?
Yeah,
Once it doesn't
we
number,
don't need to
doesn't
have a
number.
name until the hull number is assigned by the Coast Guard. Then you have to have a name attached to that. And Jim's right. That's going to be some time down the road. And I'm certainly not pushing you all to make a decision anytime soon, but I think it is a good idea to engage the community. And this is something that, well, it shouldn't be controversial, but it probably will be. And something that the community can continue to participate in while we're doing a lot of this behind the scenes work of funding and and all that stuff. So I
Okay.
applaud you in the efforts.
In our last meeting, there was a mention that Elizabeth Cosa was asking for a name for one of the applications, maybe the crab applications, but it sounds like that's no longer the need, that in fact, we have plenty of time. Is that correct, Roland?
Yeah, we do have plenty of time. It's not critical at all. So
Right.
and
Well,
if I would like to say, Jim, I'm not taking no for an answer this time. I mean, if for whatever reason we don't get the raise grant, we've already discussed, our next strategy on next year's raise grant. And so we will continue to push forward until we get a yes from them. So that's the only way we can proceed right now. I will not accept a different reality. We will be successful, period.
Okay, I think the point about community engagement, whether or not we're successful this time or next time, but I'm assuming we will be this time. But summertime is a way to engage a whole number of people that aren't here in the wintertime who also consider this their home. And I would support Judy and Mike in saying that we should go ahead and begin to making it clear that there will be further opportunities to submit names. And that's why the QR code will continue to be important. So I think if at the August 7th, you can make that clear. Any other comments before we get to our last item?
I have
If not, Jim, go ahead.
the Nikolai Tesla free electrical system technology come about, be revealed. There we go.
Okay, thank you. I think we have to talk about the TOME deadline, and which is this Friday and Judy, can you draft something that will promote the August 7th? And
Yes.
again, I think it's useful to put our names in it if there's space so that people can know who to talk to if they have issues. And we have different networks and so forth. I'm happy to work with you on a draft or comment on it. And if you want to do this,
Yep.
and we'll get it done. Okay, finally, the last item, Mike Skian has very patiently been waiting to talk about the update on the microgrid, and go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Charles, and thanks to the committee for allowing me to speak with you. My computer is telling me I have an unstable internet connection, so if I go away, end the meeting, and we'll do this again some other day. Anyway, Microgrid 2021 National Conference took place in May and June of this year. That followed an all-island PSE well-attended Opalco meeting in April. All island organizations were part of that microgrid discussion. And what we're talking about is the generation of electricity, whether it be wind or solar or storage, batteries and other ways of storing energy, and the distribution of that. Conventionally, we send power over high transmission lines, great distances, and there's losses associated with that. So essentially what the microgrid does, and what was pointed out in this conference over 4 weeks and 16 sessions, were some of the points that the basics, how do you address resiliency in your neighborhoods, planning and design, storage concerns, controls and financial. So it was a big bite to take. So there were 4 of us, Rama, Charles, Dave Kirshner, and myself. We divided the 16 sessions into bite-sized chunks, 4 each. And then we came back together again over a period of weeks after that and submitted our raw notes. And the raw notes got written up and passed around and condensed again. So you're getting in that pan out about a week ago, a very high level view of what went on. And the notes are condensed quarterly. But the whole purpose of going to this conference was to investigate what microgrids and how that may help with our population growth, with electric vehicles that will be coming online in the next 10 years. Everybody's going to want to charge their electric vehicle and an electric ferry sooner rather than later. So
Okay,
that's
Mike.
what motivated the 4 of us.
Yeah, thank you. Your conference paper, the notes you refer to, I see are going to be attached to our June meeting minutes, so they will be part of the record. And if they're not attached there, I'll make sure they get attached to the meetings minutes from this meeting. So can you look forward and say what you think the next steps are briefly, and then we will conclude the meeting.
Okay, well, the next steps, the paper has also been posted on a microgrid page on our LummyIsland.org, and we're posting other papers and more information. It's more of a, still in the investigative stage. I don't know what the next step is. And so stay tuned. We're learning as we go. What I do know, and I'll end with this, is that we have a power problem on Lummi Island, and our submarine cable is not up to the task of doubling or tripling without great expense of bringing new lines in from the substation over at I-5. So we know that, and so we're looking for alternatives, and I'll just let it go at that. Back to you, Charles.
Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you for your leadership on this and organizing these excellent meetings. We're going to conclude now unless members have any final comments. And then I'll just ask Council Member Donovan to say a word. But any other comments? Judy, Jim? If not, Todd, we'd always like to hear from you, so please.
Have me say a word. I'm like, I don't even think to say. It's sorry I came in late. I had another meeting. I was multitasking. Just hoping we get the funding. That's
okay.
Like,
well, good. Well, we're going to get the funding for sure, and Roland is guaranteed this. So.
Yeah, and appreciate all the work you all are putting in on this. And actually, the flyer they had up there, I think that's the first time I've seen an actual kind of graphic representation of what the boat's going to look like. So that's pretty cool.
It is. It's a cool design. Okay, any other comments from members? If not, thanks to Mary Ross for the Zoom. And we'll see you next month, August 7th. And in the meantime, we've got some things to do, and I'll work with Rema and Mike on the minutes and the next steps. And Judy and I will work on the tone. So thank you all. Thank you, Roland. Thank you, Marie, for coming.
All right, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye for now.